Hello, welcome to the Jelly Diary. We're here with Dave Gibson, founder of sleepsite.co.uk and Warren Evans, bedmakers expert sleep advisor.
That's a bit of a mouthful.
I know,
Yeah.
that's why I've got it written down. So we're here to talk about how you avoid sleep deprivation with a newborn baby.
Yeah,
Is it possible?
Yeah, this is one of the things that people keep telling me about when expecting fathers. People got kids already.
It's
They're
a
saying
classic, isn't
you're
it?
gonna just get used to the sleep now because you're not gonna have any afterwards.
Oh, that's it, your life's
That's it.
over.
Yeah, really positive, great stuff. People keep telling me.
So,
You forget about it after in the end. You don't believe
because
that
you're
you've
so
ever
tired.
had. No, I mean, so 2-3 years down the line, you forget that you ever were sleep deprived. But
Yeah.
and the other glib answer is that's why you're having so many problems in pregnancy, is to get you ready for the fact that you will be sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things that to do is get as much support around you as possible.
Oh really?
Yeah, get friends and families. And we were talking before about part of the problem with modern day life is that we are not in our extended families, that we tend to live on our own.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of the clients that I talk to, getting their mums over, they're coming from Germany or France or America.
Bath.
It's a long way for people to go, whereas 3 or 4 generations ago, everybody would have been around you. Two benefits: you got a lot more hands-on support, but also, for somebody like yourself, first-time mum, all of those questions, it's like, and somebody's just sitting next to you going, "Don't worry, we've had this before. It's not a problem."
Do this, do that.
One of the things that myself and my daughter's mum had was we got a doula, which is great, hands-on. They're great.
A what?
A doula. It's just somebody who just comes in and helps.
Comes in and does.
Somebody who does what you tell them to do, which is an extra pair of hands.
You can have that before you give birth, don't you?
Yeah.
And they help you with the birthing process.
You can have them during the birthing
Never
process.
heard
You're
of
my
them.
doula.
Never heard of them.
Never have a doula.
D-O-O-L-A, a doula.
Doula.
Lots of areas
Yeah.
have them. They can be midwives. They can be people that worked in that industry for a while.
See.
They're just people who, particularly women who come in and they help out an extra pair of hands. Main thing is to sort of get yourself primed up before the birth, which is how much support can I get? Obviously time off work, and in terms of cook all the food that you get it in the freezer.
Freezing, yeah.
All of that.
That's the thing. That's when Sunday's cooking food for the week,
Yeah.
so we don't have to come back and cook.
And assume, in certain tribal cultures, the baby was taken away from the parents after the first night, and sort of the tribe would look after the baby, and the parents are just, because it's such a sort of shattering time. But we were talking before about can you avoid sleep deprivation? No, you can't, because when a baby's born, it doesn't have a circadian rhythm. So your baby will sleep when your baby sleeps, and that's the end of it. And then your job is to try and sort of get into that sync. So you'd be sleeping for a little bit less. The baby would be napping 2, 3, 4 times in a day, hopefully napping at night. If you've got a baby that comes the wrong way round and thinks that the day's night and the night's day, your job is to get that cycle reversed as quickly as you can.
It's like massive jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as quickly as you can, get the baby edging towards night time is when it's dark. Get the room dark.
Blackout blinds.
Yeah,
and
all the
things
rest
like
of it, and in the daylight, keep the baby as stimulated as you can.
Yeah.
So try and get that rhythm edging towards where you want it to be, rather than where the baby starts. Certainly, circadian rhythm takes about 2 to 3 months to build up, and that's what determines when we get to sleep.
So a lot of mums might be trying to establish a routine, but after 2 or 3 days lose heart, and they should know that it takes 2 to 3.
Depends where you start. I mean, we were talking before about things running families, and if you were a difficult sleeper, your baby will be more likely to be a difficult sleeper. Whereas if you were zonkoed out as a baby, that's fine. That's where you'll get to. Start where you start. Don't panic. This isn't going to be forever. You'll get there eventually. So if you start with a very disturbed baby, I always sort of like having cranial osteopathy for my child, and because I'm a cranial osteopath myself, that can look at getting the baby to be calmer, getting the baby to get over the birth.
How do you do that?
It's just a very gentle process of tuning into the baby's body and getting the nervous system and all of the fluids to flow. With regards to your first nights at home, go to sleep when your baby goes to sleep.
And is that the rule for during the day too?
Yeah.
Try and nap.
Just grab your sleep where you can.
Yeah.
If you can get support from your man, it'll give you a break. Some
Yeah.
people find that they have to sleep in separate rooms so
Yeah.
that he can
That's
take
the
over
thing.
and swap
Yeah.
around.
Because I think you're going to have a hard job too, because your sleep will be just as disrupted, and then you'll have to go to work
Yeah.
as well.
Because you'll be feeding the baby, so I can't feed the baby, obviously. I could try, but it's not going to work.
No, but in terms of if we're sharing the room and the
Yeah.
baby's in the room, you might sleep.
There's not a massive amount I
through
can
it,
do for that first period of time whilst the
No.
baby's feeding every 3 hours. They say 3 hours. So if she's sleeping during those 3 hours, great. But if she's not, I can be, I guess, looking after her. But then actually, if she needs a feed, there's not much I can do.
But also at work, you can take a nap. Power napping is quite a good way.
I can't power nap.
At work.
Yeah, imagine that, just sleeping on my desk, my head on my laptop.
Is that allowed?
I'm sure they cannot allowed.
You might end up doing it whether you
Yeah,
See,
can't be driving anywhere.
with napping with napping. The amount of time you nap is important in terms of we sleep in 90-minute sleep cycles. So in terms of nap time, 20 to 30 minutes or 90 minutes, but don't aim at 60. The reason is if you're in 60-minute during that part of the cycle, you're right in the middle of deep sleep. So if you wake
that's
up
when
in
you-
deep sleep, you wake up groggy.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
thing, is that
horrible.
I really should, if I nap, I feel awful.
Yeah, I can't
afterwards.
You're napping for too long.
That's what it is.
So you either nap for 20
train.
minutes.
Yeah, I don't nap, but when I do, if I do have a nap,
You
I will
nap
feel
every morning on the train, but you might
I'm just
enjoy
pre-
that.
I'm just
you'll be
pretending.
able to- Doesn't like speaking to me then.
20 minutes is fine, or a full sleep cycle is fine.
Yeah,
But 60 minutes, 40, 50, 60 minutes is right in the middle of that
Ah.
deep sleep and you wake up feeling awful.
see, okay, 20 minutes.
Some people at work, if you want to only limit yourself to 20 minutes and you haven't got a timer
Yeah.
on it, have a cup of coffee before you go to sleep. It takes about 20 minutes for caffeine to kick in and it'll
Really?
wake you up anyway.
Oh,
Wake up
that's
buzzing.
good to know.
That'd be good.
Gives you a lift as you know, because
Yeah.
caffeine stimulates.
So I'm going to try and. So I'm taking 2 weeks off paternity, and then slowly coming back to work after that, a few days at a time. But I'll be trying working from home a lot of the time.
Good luck.
So yeah,
That
so-
shed down the bottom of the
I'm
garden.
going to work in the shed.
But the main thing is to try and grab the sleep where you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have some disturbances. Baby getting up to feed. In terms of how to get a baby settled, it's about trying to get the baby towards a routine. And sleep is a routine. So, for example, the naps in the day, try and get the naps in a dark room. Don't try and get a baby to nap in the light. It's giving him the wrong signals or her the wrong signals.
Yeah.
Get the room to be cool and calm. Get the lights down. At night, try and get a routine where you're feeding, bath time, reading, talking, patting,
Yeah.
and don't put your baby to bed asleep. Look for the signals. Look for the eyes. Look for the early signals that your baby's tired. So look, sometimes rubbing the eyes, sometimes wriggling, sometimes getting grumpy. So you learn those signals, and that's when the baby's getting tired but not asleep. Pat the baby, shush the baby, put the baby down in a dark room, almost asleep but not asleep.
So they learn to get themselves to sleep,
Absolutely.
and then not falling asleep on you, and then as soon as you put them down, they'll want to be back.
The more props you give a baby, the more props a baby will need. So if you give a baby a dummy to go to sleep, you're setting that up.
Yeah.
I
If you
had
give-
my dummy till I was 6 years old, still attached to the
Don't-
bed.
Don't tell
That's why you grind your teeth.
That's why I have a gumption now.
No, it's why you grind your teeth. There is association. So no. The fewer. Don't set up props.
So
Don't set up props.
for the first 6 months, they say now that the baby should be in the room with the parents sleeping. So when she's trying to nap whilst the baby's napping, the baby's in the room at the same time. So the baby's in the, what's it called, the basket by the bed,
Crib.
the crib. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, so the room will be dark and you'll be sleeping at exactly the same time, rather than put the baby to sleep in the nursery crib and then you try and sleep somewhere else.
I don't think the baby goes in its cot until like 6 months.
6 months.
It's about routine. It's about nudging a baby towards a routine. And remember, a baby ain't got a watch. So the baby isn't going to go by your time. It's going to go by its time.
Baby time.
And you try and nudge it. You try and nudge the the baby towards where you want it to go.
Mm.
And you're trying to do that with repetition, you're trying to do that with establishing good routines, good habits, relaxation, calm, quiet, dark, asleep.
Mm.
As soon as it gets light, get the lights out, get the
really?
blinds open, because light wakes us up, dark puts us to sleep, so you've got to get night and day separate.
Define
So you're actually trying to wake up the baby when you're so sleep deprived that the baby's asleep, just leave it there for.
No, once the baby's awake, get the curtains open quick
okay.
to get
So
the
So
There's
body.
you're
the
trying to wake up
difference.
the baby with the
Yeah.
curtains open.
No, and also, with regards to getting the baby more active in the day, that helps as well. Keep it stimulated.
So what about ways to compensate then? If we can't prevent sleep deprivation, is there any way to make yourself feel better when you're knackered? Like the diet and stuff like that, I suppose, other things?
Food, in terms of good nutrition, both before, during and after pregnancy, will always help. Coffee, it's something you need to be wary of, because caffeine will spike your cortisol. But again, if you keep boosting yourself with coffee, you will get the lag afterwards.
See, I don't drink coffee, but I'm chocolate. How much is that got similar amounts of caffeine?
Less caffeine, but it's still caffeine, so it's still a spike.
Still, yeah. So that's what I use.
And sugar as well. Imagine will give you a kick at the same time.
Getting out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to cope with sleep deprivation, getting out, getting some fresh air, getting yourself going, makes it easier to get to sleep. So getting out, good food,
exercising, well, walking as much as you can do.
and then trying to get catch as much sleep as you can, and then getting support so you get some breaks from friends and family, and also from your partner.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to ask, and I know we've talked about sleeping on the front is bad, but once you've had the baby, you can go right back to sleeping however you like. You don't have to wait for your bump to deflate, do you?
No.
Or you might find it's uncomfortable.
If you've had a C-section, you'll find that certain angles are going to be more painful than others, but no, you can go straight
You can
back.
go, that's so nice.
But don't go back to lying on your front.
No, I'll have to try and,
I'll hypnotise you out of that.
yeah, I'll be up for that. Yeah. All right, anything else? Sleeping tips for newborns?
No, that's really helpful though. I mean, it's one of those things as an expecting father, you do, well, as a mother, but you do worry about is the stories about not sleeping.
How tired
How
will we
tired
feel?
you will be, but as you're saying, those are the key things to get over it: is eating right, drinking right, and then sleeping when you can. And
My one plea is don't give your baby an iPhone to play with. I see it all the time, and
Let's not do that.
it makes me cringe. When you're looking at the use of technology we were talking about before, about how little boundaries that we do place around technology and how it invades all of our lives. It's now a problem for kids at school, and they're taught really early. A lot of problems come because there's two parents both working in the household, and it's almost like, okay, what do I do? Jimmy's crying, how do I shut him up?
Easy.
Here's a bit of technology, here's an iPad, play with that. And it just gets the whole of your systems used to having technology to distract you, rather than something to play with, something to read.
Yeah.
And that technology hook will then go through into primary school, and by the time I get the teenagers,
There'll be zombies.
you'll be watching your kid wide awake in the middle of the night, texting their friends on a computer.
No.
And not getting enough sleep to go to school. And it's that cycle starts with us as parents getting all the technology out of our room and setting boundaries around primary schools, and even before, training our kids not to rely on technology and only use it appropriately.
I think we ban social media from the bedroom. I wonder if we could do that.
Could you do that? I don't think you could do that.
I don't know. I don't really do it in the morning.
Should you read a book instead then?
I really miss reading. I used to be such a bookworm,
Maybe
but
do
now
that then.
social media's replaced.
Yeah, it's replaced it for a lot of us, and it has. When you look at sleep as a worldwide issue, as we were talking before, Thomas Edison knocked an hour off our sleep with a light bulb, and the internet's knocked another hour off, at least. Sleep is now a worldwide problem. People don't sleep enough, and school kids get even less sleep than they need, and babies need sleep. The brain development of a baby is tantamount to how much sleep they get.
And it leads to so many different issues as well, I imagine.
Yeah. So technology around babies, for me, is a big issue, and the sooner we can start to put appropriate boundaries around it, the better.
Good advice.
Yeah.
We've learnt lots today, haven't we?
Yeah,
Great.
really interesting.
Right, I'm off to bed. Well, thanks for coming down
Yeah,
and
pleasure.
being part of Jelly Diary. It's our first ever guest, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gone really well.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Lovely to
Thank
meet
you
you.
very
Thank you very
much.
My pleasure.